Hi, I'm Luca and I'm doing my TV idents on limitations, and this is my video blog that I'm going to talk about limitations on TV idents. First thing I want to talk about on TV idents is typography. Typography is used in a lot of idents, like the Channel 4 typography, because it's a 4 that you see in the video. But normally typography, it shouldn't clutter the screen with text, otherwise the viewer won't be able to read it, or they won't be able to understand what's going on. And text shouldn't really move too fast, otherwise the same problem, they might not read it, or they might not know what's going on, what the ident is representing and why they're doing it. If it's too fast, then it's just pointless having it there in the first place. Also, the second thing I want about idents is the resolution of the ident. Most TVs are the same resolution, depending on what TV you have. Most modern TVs are the 16:19 ratio, which matches a HD TV. It's uncommon to see a TV which is in 4:3 ratio. So because that means it's a letterboxed. It's not very nice to watch if it's letterboxed, because you only have a thin line to watch the TV on, and normally you watch it on a 16:9 because it's a bigger and more HD to look on. It's worth going for a max resolution because it can always be scaled down when making files broadcast. But also when you scale down, you've got to think about the colour. But in some countries, they don't even have colour TVs. That's only in black and white. But colours of different tones can sometimes be easier to see in black and white. But on a colour TV, some of them can be easier to see as well, depending on what program you're watching, what kind of resolution it is on. If it's a rubbish resolution and it's on black and white, then it's going to be twice as hard to see what's going on. But if it's a rubbish resolution in colour, then maybe it can help a little bit. But also using the colour and the resolution, it all comes down to file sizes and stuff like that. And broadcasting online is easier because online it can take a range of file sizes, different formats you can do online. But compressing the files and making them smaller can lose quality on a visual and audio level. Because if you compress the file too much, then sometimes the visuals will just look horrible and it will sound horrible, and you just don't want that in a advert on a TV ident, because then who's gonna want to watch that, because it's just not gonna look nice. Also, communications are important. Normally an ident is 10 seconds long, 10 to 20 seconds long, so the viewer gets attention. If it catches the viewer's attention, and if it's 10 seconds long, then it wouldn't lose interest in the viewer, that they've seen the ident, they've acknowledged the ident. But if it was too long, then if they start watching it, they get a bit bored, they change over, they're not going to get the whole message across. So making it short and simple is important in a ident. Also, you can fit a funny scene or a really short story into an ident, but making it too fast won't really. Making it too fast will not help the viewer understand what's going on. But normally these idents are fast, they're normally brief and over and done with. But normally, if you make it brief and over and done with too fast, then they're obviously not going to get what's going on. But they need to be to the point, because if it doesn't get to the point, then it's pointless. Basically, it just needs to get there. Normally, if it's not to the point, as I said, the viewer will lose interest. And the other thing that will keep the viewer watching the ident is normally there's music played in the background, so maybe that can relate to the viewer if they're watching, say, E4 for example. There's kind of like funky, wacky music into the background that maybe a young person will enjoy, and it's normally a funky ident, so that they'll enjoy that as well. So maybe an E4 ident is aimed for a younger audience than, I would say, a BBC One ident isn't really aimed for a young audience. It's normally aimed for a variety of audiences. Also, when you are making an ident, there's a lot of things you have to consider, like time pressure, budgets, and like creative roles, creative control. Like in time pressure, the time of an ident to be made for, let's say, someone wants to make an ident for for Channel 4, and it's for a specific program that's going to be shown on Channel 4, like on There's a Simpsons ident, and every time The Simpsons is about to be showed, that they will play that ident. So if they want to create an ident and that show is going to be aired in a couple months, then they're going to have to make an ident for that TV program within the space of time that it's going to start airing. So if they don't make it, if they don't hit the deadline, then they're not going to have an ident specifically aimed for that program. So it's going to be a bit of a waste of time doing it and not airing it. Also, in some idents, there are used 3D animation software that sometimes give the ident a bit more creativeness to it, so you can pretty much do anything you want on a 3D software. But these 3D softwares do cost a lot of money. Like, for instance, one of the TV 3D design softwares, some of them can range up to £5,000, and that's a lot of money just for a 3D animation software. And it's just that's a lot of money just to invest in the software itself. Then you've got to invest in people that are going to use that software to make the actual ident if they are using 3D. If they're not using 3D, they're just going to film it, then it's going to cost a bit less, but they're also going to have to hire the actors that are going to be in the ident itself. The other thing is creative control. What different people that are in the ident business that make the ident, each role has a different control to what the ident will finish out like. So the director and the producer probably have most of the power over what the ident is. But say, like, I don't know, the 3D designer might want to make something that looks, because he's the one that's in control of the 3D software, they might want to make something to their standards that will think that looks good in 3D, we should use that. Then they'll run it by the producer or the director, and normally because they're such a good background in 3D, they know what they're talking about, they know what they're doing, so that might make them have that kind of control in that part of the ident. In other parts, different departments of the ident might have different control over different parts. So the music will have different kind of the person that's in charge of music will have their own vibe of what the music is going to sound like and match what the ident is going to look like. And also the lighting as well. The person that's in charge of the lighting is an expert at at lighting, so he's obviously going to know what's the best shot and what's not. There are many different departments of making an ident. You got the cameraman, you got like how fast the ident's going to go. You got the 3D designers, you got the lighting. You got the people like that. If there's an actor in it, then hair and makeup. There's loads. So there's loads of departments in the ident industry, and that is my unit of TV idents on limitations. Thanks for listening.